Good morning. It's Mindy Tate, Executive Director of Franklin Tomorrow, and welcome to August 10th and our Frank Talks. Again, I'm Mindy Tate, Executive Director of Franklin Tomorrow, and welcome to the August 10th Frank Talks. We got quite a cast of characters on here, and we're going to add some more faces in the next little bit, but we wanted to say thank you. And Alina Bell, our board chair, is on here, and Alina, welcome this morning. It's the first day of Franklin Special Schools, and county schools are back into. It's kind of an interesting morning to do something like this, I would say.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're hoping some of the moms will join in out of celebration that their kids are launched into school.
And we're hoping that bandwidth holds for everybody, because we know that with virtual learning, some of that's going to be affected here in the county as well. So we're aware of that for sure. And we're now live on Facebook. I can see that. We're streaming live on Facebook. And welcome to those people who are watching Frank Talks with us via Facebook this morning. I'm Mindy Tate, Executive Director of Franklin Tomorrow, and we've got a great panel of people to know now on here. There's the mayor down there. Welcome, Mayor. We're going to come back to you in a minute, Mayor. We're going to start by thanking our sponsors. And Alina, we're so grateful for Renaissance Bank and Williamson Medical Center and their support. And this morning from Renaissance Bank, we've got Tony Sharp surrounded by a group of people.
Good morning, Carly. Good morning, Alina, and everybody else.
Good morning.
We just wanted to say, always excited to be on Frank Talks, and always excited to be part of this program, no matter how we do it, whether it's in person or virtual. So, but we have part of our team. Of course, everybody knows Diane over here to my left, and they've got Tammy and Bryce here, who are two crucial pieces of our financial business here in downtown Franklin. But just wanted to talk real quick before we turn it over about how if you're a soccer fan or a sports fan, we can help you out with looking really great for the soccer season, even though we had a little rough start there at the beginning. But soccer kicks back off again for regular play August 12th, this Wednesday, against Dallas. So we're excited because obviously we're the official sponsor for the Nashville Soccer Club. And you know, in lieu of what's going on, we want to say we've got some great promotions with our accounts. That if you open an account with us as a new Renaissance client, we're going to give you one of these fantastic jerseys that you can see here that have our logo on them. Yeah, so we're excited. We'll be wearing ours Wednesday to support the team and the players and everything. Love for you to come down and learn about Renaissance Checking, how we can help you. A lot of banks are struggling with how they operate these days, but we do a lot of stuff one-on-one or over the phone, virtually through conferencing. So we have many different ways we can help you if you don't feel comfortable coming down to the branch. So thank you for your time. And
where are your locations in Williamson County?
So we're right down across from the Franklin Police Department, so right on Columbia Avenue. And then we're also located on Carruthers Parkway near the Starbucks and Tin Roof 2, right there. So we've got both those locations.
Well, thanks so much, Tony. And it's great to see you all. I know you may have to get back to work. So great to see them this morning. Now we want to turn our attention to Nicole Volk from Williamson Medical Center. And Nicole, you have been involved. Obviously, it's been a very busy time for Williamson Medical Center. Give us a little update, and pardon me.
So yes, I'm coming to you live this beautiful Monday morning from the campus of Williamson Medical Center, and you know, things are good here. We're starting to see a little bit of a decrease in our patients, COVID patients here. So masks are working. So keep wearing those masks. That is so important. And I also think what's really important right now in this challenging time is to spread the hope and really, you know, keep a positive outlook right now. And we have a video we'd like to share of one particular story that we think is just a really great way to spread that hope. And so I'd like to share that with all of you. If something happens with it, we do have a link that Mindy and team will send out, so you can watch it individually at home. But please enjoy, and thank you so much for all of your support. That means the world to us here at Williamson Medical.
Isaiah is outgoing, boisterous, stubborn, typically a fun person to be around. He was very fatigued. He had a fever, coughing. We initially went to the urgent care. They looked at him for 10 minutes and they decided that he needed to come to Williamson.
He was the sort of poster child for coronavirus. When he came to the hospital, he was placed on oxygen, and then within about 12 to 24 hours, his oxygen needs went way up.
I had no idea that it would progress the way it would.
Within 24 hours of him coming to the hospital, he was put on a ventilator. I heard his voice, and then the next time I heard his voice was almost 2 months later.
Isaiah was here for 53 days. We didn't know if he was going to leave.
When he first came in, he was very, very, very sick. Just laying in a bed and relying on us to take care of him, to turn him, to feed him, to bathe him, to comfort him. To watch somebody so young struggle was really hard for all of us. Moving him out of the COVID unit into the regular ICU was huge for us.
It was interesting to see him process kind of how sick he'd been and how long he'd been there.
Of all the things that he wanted during his 2-month hospitalization, he was desperate for a banana.
He wants his banana.
We were all so invested in his success.
Because we couldn't come up to be with him, they even used their personal devices to allow us to FaceTime when he got to a place where we could actually talk to him.
Take your time. Slow and steady.
It was great for us to have an opportunity to see him and to see that he did look like he was progressing.
We put so much work and heart and soul into him. Isaiah became part of our family here at Williamson.
On the day he was going to be released, it was really cool to see everybody get the opportunity to say bye to him.
I just remember so many staff members surrounding him, and we had signs for him, and it was truly one of the best moments of my life.
To see him get to see his family again and hug his daughter and his partner and just the whole experience, it was really touching.
To the team, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you for loving him. Thank you for loving us and just caring enough about us. Nurses and doctors and people in the healthcare field do what they do because they want to help people. But this team has gone above and beyond anything that I could have ever imagined.
Wow, what a great story, Nicole. I've watched it a couple times and I want to tear up. What a great story. And thank you to your team at Williamson Medical Center for what you did in changing his life and hopefully the lives of so many others. But we have to stay.
Still gets me every time too. I think I've seen it. I don't know how many times, but great story.
Got to stay safe. And
yes.
This thing will soon end. So we'll be talking about this throughout the program, but wear your mask.
Please wear your masks.
Please wear your masks. Slow the spread.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Nicole, for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you. So Mayor Moore, we're going to unmute you. I've unmuted you, and Alina, I'm going to ask you to unmute, but we're going to talk a little bit about exciting times here in Franklin. We want to talk about Franklin's bid to become an all-America city with the National Civic League. And Mayor, and Alina, we've been working on that. But Carly, we've got some statistics. Mayor, tell us a little bit about how we're doing that and what's exciting about that.
Well, first of all, it's quite an honor to have that partnership with Franklin tomorrow to work to receive this award, and the fact that we're in the finalists. Wow, what a great honor. And my thought is that we are an all-American city. There's no question in my mind about it. You know, we can look at all the city services we have. We can look at the wellness programs we can have. We can talk about those things where we communicate with each other, but we're an all-American city just because we have such great people that live in Franklin, and they're such giving people. So
that's right, and
that's later this
Franklinites.
week.
We're Franklinites, yay!
Franklinites.
We're proud to be Franklinites, that's for sure. So we want to talk to Alina. This is a great opportunity. So we've been encouraging people to show their pride and voice that about being from Franklin, but we are so proud to be part of this initiative.
Yes, Mindy. For the last 20 years, Franklin Tomorrow has been strategic in making sure our community members feel like they can participate and join in with events like Breakfast with the Mayors and FrankTalks, and through some of our initiatives like Get Fit Franklin, where you've walked with the mayor, and on the table celebration. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for us to showcase to the world what Franklin is all about.
Well, we've got some great partners, and we do enjoy Breakfast with the Mayors and Get Fit Franklin and On the Table. But if we are selected, the selection will be on August 19th, a week from Wednesday, we'll be the first city in the state of Tennessee since 1999 to be an All-America city. And we just start encouraging people to show their civic pride. We will be sharing with you in the next week or so how you can watch our presentation on Wednesday morning, and maybe also help us watch the award ceremony that evening virtually, all virtually, and celebrate when Franklin is named an All-America city, because we're pretty positive about it. Right, Mayor?
Absolutely. Excited about it. I can't wait to bring home the trophy or whatever they give us.
Well, we'll get some banners for Main Street, but we'll find some unique ways to celebrate too. And we appreciate the support of several people on this call who helped us with that application. Kathy Montgomery helped us with that, and we'll get to her in a few minutes. But Mayor, I also want to just have you give an update about the mask mandate and wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask.
Well, that's a great way to say it, wear a mask. As everyone's aware, Governor Lee gave county mayors the opportunity to issue a mask mandate. He renewed that that order, and Mayor Anderson renewed it for August. Mask mandate is working. In the past week, we've seen a 2.9% decline in active cases. So the masks are working. It's important that people be compliant. It's an inconvenience, I understand, but it's a real inconvenience if our COVID numbers go up and we have to go backwards. So we don't want to go backwards, and please wear your mask. And I have my stylish mask here today.
Oh yeah, your mayor's cup.
My Franklin Tomorrow Mayor's Cup. So, and if you need a branded mask, we have some Franklin branded masks that are, there you go, that you can go by the Visitors Convention Center office there on 4th Avenue North and pick one up.
Yep. So, Mayor, I'm sure you got several calls, and we're well aware on social media this weekend about the invasion from the north of party buses. So a lot of questions about that, but you all kind of put the stop to that pretty quickly, right? Transportainment vehicles.
Well, it was happening. As everyone's aware, Mayor Cooper in Nashville had the buses. I think they're actually suing Nashville. They decided they would scoot down to good old Williamson County. And so not only were they not welcome, they also, some of them got citations for open containers on our streets and also for the noise ordinance. We have explored some of the other options that are available, and apparently large vehicles like that are regulated by the state. So we may need to be checking into that. But they are not welcome in Williamson County. They are not welcome in Franklin. They're not welcome on the streets of Franklin, Tennessee. We have some bad actors in our community right now. And I would urge people to avoid those establishments that aren't following the Tennessee pledge. We can stop the spread of this COVID and get back to a more normal life quicker if we'll just be compliant.
That's right. And you spend some time every day, it seems like, walking up and down Main Street, just talking with people and making sure that they understand the situation and why it's important to wear a mask. And we appreciate how you're taking the leadership in this event as well.
Thank you, Mandy.
And you even had to cancel our golf tournament, the Mayor's Cup golf tournament.
That's a stab in my heart, because that was so hard to do. You know, I've had the opportunity to be part of the Mayor's Cup golf tournament now, and we have a great time. It raises money for Franklin tomorrow. It's a great opportunity to showcase the work of Franklin tomorrow, and also some of the golf skills of some of the people that work with Franklin tomorrow. So we'll come back next year with a better tournament, but this year it was just not. It just didn't seem right. We want to keep people safe.
Well, thank you so much for your support. And we know you have a busy day. You're welcome to stay, but we know you have a busy day as well. So thanks, Mayor Moore. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mandy.
Oh, wait, I have a question for you. We're trying to get to know people better today. So what's your favorite ice cream?
I love vanilla, particularly that one that has vanilla bean in it.
Okay. And do you have a spirit animal?
A what?
A spirit animal. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Well, I would come back as a German Shepherd, because that's my wife's favorite dog, and I would garner a lot of attention, much more than I get now.
Oh, I hope she's not watching, because you'd be in so much trouble very soon.
Well, I'm sure people will tell her.
Thanks so much, Mayor. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Mandy.
So that's a little hint for our participants to be thinking about as we get to know you a little better, how we get to know you a little better. But first, we're going to start with Kathy Montgomery, who's the Director of the Williamson County Health Department. There you are. See, we've done some research, and we'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the health department, and then we'll get to know you a little bit. But you're inside your office today. That's a rarity in the last month or so, or 4 months or so, right?
Yes, it is. We've been out at the Ag Center testing, and before I kind of go into a little bit of information about what we do in public health, and certainly discuss some things about COVID, Mindy did ask us to share a little bit of information about ourselves. So first and foremost, I just want to let everyone know that while I'm not a Tennessee native, I've actually spent more than half of my life here. I grew up in Cleveland, Tennessee, up in Bradley County, before I moved to Tallahassee, where I met my husband, Jim. I graduated with a bachelor's and a master's degrees in health education from Florida State University. So if we have any Knoll fans out there, even though I'm a diehard Tennessee fan, I worked for the Florida Department of Health for 13 years before we moved back to Tennessee after my husband retired from the police department there in Tallahassee for 30 years. He was a lieutenant with the police department there, sworn officer. And we moved back to this area because I have all my family here, an aging mother. So came back to care for her. I'm also Gigi to 2 beautiful grandchildren. I have a grandson, Miles, that's 5, and Mackenzie, who's 8. And Mackenzie's actually been living with us for the past 2 years and just started 3rd grade. So let me just say that my husband and I currently are struggling with Common Core math, Chromebooks, and most recently having to log into all these Zoom calls and do remote learning. So it's been a little challenge for us because we're not kind of technologically savvy. Since Mindy said this is a get to know me session, here's a little trivia about me. I love murder mystery shows. Mackenzie calls them my killer movies, okay? But I despise anything sci-fi. I'm not a Star Wars fan, don't like anything like that. I'm a hopeless romantic, and I have read just about everything that Nicholas Sparks has written. I have a fear of flying, even though I have enough sky miles from my credit card to fly to Europe and back right now. Okay. And I have seen every episode of The Golden Girls so many times that I can actually repeat the punchlines. Okay. So I'll get into a little bit about my public health career. So I began working at the Williamson County Public Health Department in 2012. I came on board as a health educator and worked for a year. And then sought the position of the county director when the previous county director retired.
It's her birthday today.
Is it? Well, I'll have to send her a text then and let her know.
Brumley.
Yes, Becky Brumley was a previous county director. And I tell you, she gave me the most tremendous opportunity to work with an amazing, dedicated, compassionate staff of people here at the local health department. We have 2 clinics, one in Franklin, one in Fairview. We offer primary care services. We have a full-time dentist and primarily see children in that program. We have our women, infant, and children nutrition program as well, and do a lot with family planning services. So we offer a number of birth control methods here at our local health department to prevent pregnancy and to try to work with women to do birth spacing and so forth, and really come up with how many children do they want to have, how far apart do they want to have them, and so forth. So we offer a number of great family planning services here. We also have care coordinators at our health department that actually help to link those underserved individuals in our community with a lot of different resources. We have a car seat program, for example, here at the health department. So if you qualify, we can provide free car seats to you. We also have a car seat technician who's certified. So if any of you young mothers out there, or grandmothers even, have tried to install a car seat recently, it's like a Rubik's Cube. So she can help to do that installation for you to keep our children safe. We have environmental health services that protect our community with doing restaurant inspections, hotel, motel, swimming pools, and so forth to prevent disease and the spread of disease. And certainly our vital records, where you come to the local health department for birth and death certificates here. If you want more information about the services that we provide, you can go to our website for Williamson County. Of course, a couple of things that people don't know that we do here at the health department is that we're very focused on built environment initiatives. So a couple of things that we've been able to do through grants that we've obtained is a bicycle program out in Fairview. So if you go to Bowie Park any day during the week when the park is open or when the center is open, you can rent a bike for free and ride the trails. We've also been able to place soccer goals in a very low income trailer park here in the city of Franklin that a lot of kids are getting use of. And then our recent initiative was that we did connectivity with a sidewalk to neighborhoods in Nolensville that are connecting them to Sunset Elementary and Sunset Middle Schools. So those are just a couple of things that we've been able to accomplish through built environment. Finally, of course, emergency preparedness and communicable disease is a huge part of what the health department does, obviously with STDs, HIV, and now with our pandemic of COVID. We're currently operating the busiest testing site in the state of Tennessee, excluding, of course, our metropolitan cities in the state. But our test site is out at the Williamson County Ag Center. It's a well-oiled machine out there. Anyone can get a test regardless of their symptoms, Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 12:30. I will say on average, we've been testing about 600 to 800 people a day. The last 2 weeks, our testing has really kind of reduced down to about 200 a day. We've been trying to dispel some theories that maybe it's people not wanting to test because they don't want positives to start increasing so kids can go back to school. We really feel like because we were doing such mass testing in our region, lab results were really delayed. Currently, we can get results back in about 3 to 4 days. But before that, when we were doing the mass testing, it was taking about 7 to 10 days. I can tell you that if you test negative, so let me talk a little bit about the COVID part. If you test negative for COVID at our site, or the state has a contract with a company called Extend Care. They are calling every one of those patients to let them know that they are negative. They're even calling on the weekends to alert people that they've had a negative test result, and they're going to mail a letter to that individual with the results. If they test positive, they're going to be contacted by the local health department. We're going to advise those individuals to isolate up to 10 days, and they must be with symptom-free for at least 24 hours before they go back to normal activity. Positive cases are also interviewed to determine, first of all, when they became symptomatic, and then we're trying to identify who their household contacts are, who they go to school with or work with, their areas of, their businesses and areas of employment and so forth, to see who they might have had close contact with, and then those others that are considered close contacts. So Mindy, if you and I went to lunch and had lunch together, and the CDC defines close contact as those that are within 6 feet for longer than 10 minutes. So if you were riding in a car or something, those are going to be close contacts. So then our contact tracers, we have a number of staff members that we've trained as contact tracers. They'll begin calling those individuals that are considered close contacts, and they're going to ask them to quarantine. So there's a difference. Positive patients are going to isolate. Those that are close contacts are going to be asked to quarantine for up to 14 days. We have, thanks to Mayor Anderson and all the city mayors for the mask ordinance, we have seen numbers for our positive cases begin to stabilize over the past 2 weeks. So I'll just kind of wrap up and say, please wear that mask, socially distance, wash your hands, and stay safe.
So does symptom-free mean not coughing or fever-free? Or
Right.
which does it mean?
There are a number of symptoms that are listed out on the CDC website, and actually on our emergency management, we've allowed them to kind of take control of all the COVID information, but there is a link to CDC, and what it does is let's see. Are you still there, Mindy? Can you still hear me?
I can.
Kind of paused a little bit. It was coughing, fever, stomach ache, headache, loss of taste and smell. There are a number of different symptoms, it seems like, that are considered symptoms for COVID.
Great. Great. And normally during this time, you'd be helping people get back to school with vaccinations and athletic physicals, but now it's really about helping people get back to school by wearing their mask and getting them tested and getting them back into schools and colleges, correct?
And we are still doing lots of vaccinations here. We've just taken a different approach about how we're providing services here at the health department and trying to keep people as safe as possible.
And we appreciate your support and how you helped us with our All America City application, since it is about impacting the health and well-being. And we work with you all on a number of things, including the suicide prevention education, which is a key part of your county health plan as well. So we appreciate your support for that. And we'll be talking about that a little bit in September, since that is Suicide Prevention Month. We'll talk a little bit more about that in September. So we're going to move on into our panelists, but stay with us because we may get some more questions for you, Kathy. And if you have a question, just feel free to type it in the chat and we'll try to get back and answer that question. You didn't tell us what your spirit animal is, though.
Probably a cat, because then you can, because if I know my cats, I have a 15-pound cat, so he eats all the time and then sleeps all the time. So that would be my spirit animal.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. We're going to move on now to Chad Gray, who, due to technical difficulties, is joining us by phone. So Chad is there. And Chad, I used to call your office the election registrar. I've called it, but you are the administrator of elections for Williamson County. Is that correct? Let's see. I'm not getting a response from Chad that I can hear. So what we'll do is we'll switch around and we'll go up here. Hey, Chris Williamson, Pastor Chris, how are you today?
I'm wonderful today. I had to unmute.
That's
How
great.
are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us. We'd love to hear a little bit about you and your family and learn a little bit more about you. If you would just give us an update on you.
Well, first, I want to make sure that everyone knows who my sister-in-law is, Mrs. Alina Bell. And I'm sure that's probably why I'm seated with you today on this illustrious panel.
No, that's some other, you've been involved in a few other things lately that we are anxious to hear about the fuller story and how and that process. But tell us a little bit about how long have you lived and been in Middle Tennessee?
I had been in Middle Tennessee for 28 years, living in Franklin for 27 years. Originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and went to school in Virginia. And that's where I met my wife, Alina's sister, Dorena. And I got into Christian rap music while I was in college. There was another group on our campus who also did Christian rap, a small little group named DC Talk, who migrated into Toby Mac and Michael Tate with the Newsboys. So our group was not as famous as those groups, but we were just as effective. And our record company, we had a record deal with Benson Records, and our record company was here in Nashville. So when I finished my seminary degree, we moved to Nashville. And not long after we unpacked the last box from the U-Haul truck, I got a call that we lost our record contract. So my prayer life went to a whole nother level because I had no idea why the Lord would bring me to Nashville. The most I knew about Nashville was from my father, who loved to watch Hee Haw. So my understanding of Nashville was from Minnie Pearl and Roy Clark and all those folks on Hee Haw. But when I got here, I realized that it had progressed so much more from Hee Haw.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yes, it did. So I moved to Franklin because there was a church in Franklin, Christ Community Church. They were doing a lot of work in the African-American community, which happened to be a low-income community, and they knew that their efforts were not as potent without the aid of an African American male to assist them. So they interviewed me and I came on staff with them. And I was an intern, a pastoral intern. And about 2.5 years later, I started a church called Strong Tower Bible Church. As a matter of fact, next month, we will celebrate 25 years as a church. And so when we started back in 1995, we had an intentional mission to be cross-racial. And we thank God that because to this day, we still are a multiracial congregation. Our vision is to experience, explain, and expand God's diverse kingdom in the city and throughout the world. So it's an honor to be a part of such a community of believers and to do the things that we're doing now in the community. I was involved with the effort in Nashville to remove the Nathan Bedford Forrest bust from out of the state capitol. So I'm glad to see that there's been some progress made with that, and hopefully in October, the Historical Commission can vote to move him out into a museum where he belongs. And as many of you know, I've also been involved in the Fuller Story initiative here in the city of Franklin, which began in 2017 after the death of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville, Virginia, coming out of the whole uprising that occurred because of the Robert E. Lee statue there. And even if you go back a couple of years to Dylan Roof and the massacre in Charleston, South Carolina, when he went into the church and killed those 9 innocent folks. So there's been a progression in our country to right many of the wrongs of the past. And a lot of that has to do with representation. And so in Franklin, we've been fighting to make sure there's a representation of a fuller story, the truth to be told. Whereas for many years, when I first got to Franklin, there was not much talk about what the root cause of the Civil War was. Back in 95, 96, 97, you would get the typical states' rights argument. But now, through the work of Eric Jacobson, Battle of Franklin Trust, Tina Jones, and so many others in Franklin who've been working hard to tell the story, to give facts, to give truth, we've been able to see that the root cause of the Civil War was, in fact, slavery. It was economical. And to be able to tell stories on our square in downtown with the aid of the mayor and Eric Stuckey, it has been a phenomenal experience getting to know people through something that was used to divide people is now being used to unite people right there on our square. So we've been able to put up 5 historical markers. We did that last October and dedicated those markers, and the community came out. It was a great day. And now we are anticipating the unveiling of a statue, a life-size statue of a United States colored troop soldier right there in front of the 2nd courthouse, where after emancipation, slaves in Williamson County would go into that courthouse to receive their paperwork to join the federal army in Nashville. So to take part in such historical, momentous moments is very humbling, and I'm thankful to have the support of the community. We know we don't have everyone on board, but I don't think there's ever been a vision where everyone's bought in 100%. But the majority of our community, they love what we're doing in terms of the Fuller Story and bringing people together. And so I'm just thankful to be a part of it all.
So the Fuller Story started with a group you've named Eric Jacobson and yourself, but Kevin Riggs and Pastor Hewitt Sawyers.
Yes.
How did y'all come together to begin even the germination of this idea? How did you all come together?
It probably started on McDonald's on 96 West right there. We had a group called the Empty Hands Fellowship way back when with the late Reverend R.L. Denson, Scott Rowley from Christ Community Church. We would get together every Wednesday and have breakfast, and we would talk together and laugh together, pray together. And so I've known Kevin and Hewitt for over 25 years. And so what we did with the Fuller Story was just a natural outworking of our relationship and things we've done in the past together to bring unity in our city. We've done pulpit swaps, and we've done outdoor open air meetings on the square, worship services, all kinds of things. So when this came together, Kevin Riggs and I were on the square for a prayer vigil on the Monday following the events in Charlottesville, and the rest took off from there. And so, so it's just really an outgrowth of our relationship. So I'm glad it's not something that was programmatic or something that was politically correct. No, it was from a group of pastors who not only love God, but love our community and love the people in our community. So it was just a natural happening.
And you, well, the four ministers came together, and previously you mentioned how you worked with Eric Stuckey, the city administrator, and Mayor Moore, but this was a citizen-driven initiative. You all are citizens, and you came together with the support of your congregations and the community to put forth the idea of the fuller story. Talk a little bit about how it was community-driven.
Yes, once it began to pick up momentum within our own meetings, we knew we needed to have the buy-in of the community and the support of the community. And so we went to various historical commissions. We sat down with different groups. I can't even name them all, but we also sat down with each of the aldermen to hear their thoughts, hear their concerns, hear their support. We sat down with ministers in the community, from the Black community, from the white community. We just wanted to make sure that people had a chance again to buy in and even weigh in on what we were doing. So we felt like we really did have the support of everyone. And we also sat down and spoke with Mayor Anderson, the county mayor. So it was a good time to get to know a lot of people that we didn't know.
I bet it was. So you mentioned that when you started Strong Tower Bible Church, you did so with the desire for it to be a cross-racial church. In our world, churches and other places of worship, but also of gatherings such as funeral homes, that sort of thing, can often be still racially divided. What is the importance of worshiping together? And how has that, you think, helped build a better community?
Wow, you just asked a wonderful question. You asked a preacher that question, and I know
I did.
But I think we have to always go back to what was and what is the heart of God. Segregation was never the heart of God. Those were the kinds of sins men put on God. Going back to when slavery began, it was really the love of money which created the root to all kinds of evil, including enslaving men and women from Africa. And so there were people who put into their theology a form of racism, as if God had okayed this and even authorized this kind of ill treatment towards a certain segment of people. But that's why Jesus said, the truth shall set you free. Once you know the truth shall set you free. And so we've been spending time telling the truth, whether it's about the Battle of Franklin, the Civil War, or even what the Bible teaches in terms of loving your neighbor, and how Jesus would be very specific on loving people who are outside of your own ethnic group. And so just telling the truth. And sometimes truth sounds like hate to people who don't want to hear the truth. But I'm so glad that there are people who are willing to live in the truth. You know, Dr. King said that truth crushed to earth will rise again. And so although people have tried to suppress what is true in terms of people coming together, because heaven will not be segregated, so therefore earth does not need to be segregated. And when you get a taste of heaven on earth, oh boy, it's a beautiful thing. It shows that it can be done. So when Jesus said, by the love my disciples show for one another, then the world will know that you belong to me. So it's when we love each other across economic and racial and cultural lines that it shows that the gospel is for real. And so I've been running with a group of people for 25 years now. I love it. It's not easy, which is why you don't see a lot of representations like this. But once again, if God is the most important person in our life and his word is the most important thing in our life, it is possible to come together. And it's good. It is worth it. We have a lot of fun. Isn't that right, Lena? We have a lot of fun. And we celebrate these things together. So our church bought into this vision for the fuller story, put their money where their mouths were, made a tremendous contribution. Other people in the community have seen this, that we can't do anything about the past, but we can do a whole lot about the present and the future. And we don't need to erase the past. There are some statues that need to come down, and then there are some that need to remain, especially when other statues are going to go up that help tell the whole story that happened in our city.
Well, that's great. And thank you so much. And we also appreciate your support and participation in the bid to become an All-America City. We're going to tell our unique story of Franklin to the world. And I think it's a great day coming for us to be able to show that for sure. Now we're going to ask you a couple questions. There, you got your mask. You're ready.
Put my mask on. I'm all right.
You're ready. You're ready. So your wife, Dorena, she is a children's book author. Tell us a little bit about Dorena's books.
Yes, my wife has been writing books ever since I've known her, but she's just published them within the last 4 years or so. And she's written a trilogy of books that deal with being colorful, telling the story of not trying to be colorblind, but being colorful, and recognizing that this is how God has made us. There's nothing to be ashamed about, the colors of our skin, the very shades of melanin that we have and possess. And so we need to teach people to celebrate our differences and not be afraid of our differences. And so she's written a series of books, and she also is working on another set of books that hopefully will be out next year. She is amazing. She is my rib. And that's my girl right there. That's my girl. Y'all need to have her on.
We really do. Yeah. Now you have a whole lot of books behind you, but I hear you collect and like another kind of book that's a little, usually a little thinner, comic books.
You've been doing some digging on me. Yeah. Well.
So what superhero would you be, or would you be? What would you be?
Well, my favorite is the Incredible Hulk. I am an avid comic book collector. I've probably got about 10 or 11,000 comic books that Dorena allows me to keep in our home. And so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, I'm a Marvel Comics guy. And my kids love to watch all the Marvel comic movies. So that's how we spend quality time many times, watching those movies. But I'm a Hulk guy. I love the Incredible Hulk.
Okay, and quickly, what's your favorite ice cream, and what would your spirit animal be?
Oh boy, my favorite ice cream is vanilla. I love vanilla ice cream. Matter of fact, that's a problem because every now and then I eat too much of it. But I guess if I had to be an animal, it would be a lion, because the Bible says the righteous are as bold as a lion. And there are times we need to be bold for what is right. Yes.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, vanilla's winning out, I think, here today. Alina, did you tell us, are you a vanilla? What's your favorite ice cream? Unmute yourself. There you go. Oops.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. My favorite is cookies and cream, and I love Baskin Robbins. They know me well.
Well, I'm not sure if it's even an ice cream. My favorite has and always will be orange sherbet. So I just love that orange sherbet. I don't know, that's my favorite thing. So thanks so much. And so we're gonna try again. I see Chad's audio.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chad. There you are. Great to have you here. Know you're having some technical difficulties, but thanks for joining us by phone. So Chad, we're getting to know everybody a little bit, and you've been listening, I think, or hopefully been able to listen. So I'll start off by asking you, what's your favorite ice cream?
Well, no doubt about it, mint chocolate chip.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So, Chad, you are the administrator of elections for Williamson County. We've heard it referred to a lot of things as in different varieties. I used to call it the election registrar, but is administrator of elections the correct title?
That is correct. Early on, the position was called the registrar of voters, but it evolved over time, and and that title of Administrator of Elections has been used probably for about 30 years now.
And you've been in this position. Tell us how long you've been in this position.
Well, I began working for the commission in April of 2000, and I was appointed the Administrator of Elections in July of 2015. So I've been on the job 5 years and some change.
Excellent. What do you like about your job?
Well, I enjoy the voting process, and I really enjoy encouraging voter participation. And I know that this is a little bit of a topic maybe for another day, but by and large, our voters in the county are really they're really involved in participating in the electoral process, at least in November elections. We've had the highest voter participation in the last 4 November elections out of any of the 95 counties in Tennessee. So we really like to encourage that as much as possible.
Great. Now, Chad, you told us you were appointed in 2015, but are you one of those rare birds and actually a Williamson County native? Because you went to Page High School, correct?
I did. I'm a 5th generation Williamson Countyan. I've grown up in the community, went to all the public schools here, and have seen a lot of changes. And I think when I started working for the commission, we had 82,000 voters, I believe, back then. So we have over 168,000 now.
Wow. Wow. And you've just obviously finished the August primaries, and that process had some evolving challenges as well as evolving technology. Tell us about technology and the challenges that August brought.
Well, obviously, there was many changes that had to take place in regards to how we vote in our polling places, and really to adapt to the by mail voting situation. Generally speaking, less than 2% of our voters vote by mail in any given election. So we had about 25% of our ballots that were cast, maybe a little less, were cast by mail for this election, but we have really strived to adapt to the changes. Back earlier in the year, our county went to the 25 convenient vote center model, which allows any voter to vote at any location on election day, regardless of where they actually reside in the county. So that's been a tremendous success so far. For us, giving voters that flexibility. So many of our voters leave very early to make their commutes to other parts of the Middle Tennessee area. And if someone in Thompson Station or Spring Hill can stop at the Brentwood Library on their way to Nashville to vote, we think that's very, very important.
So how many ballots were cast in the August election overall?
The final number of ballots cast was just over 38,000, and that's about right at, I believe I decided that was around 20, I think it's about 23% of our registered voters. So
you feel that's up, or is that up or down compared to primaries, August primaries in the past?
Well, it was up this time. Generally speaking, an August primary in a presidential year is usually fairly low-key, but because of our recent U.S. Senate race in the primary on the Republican ballot, that brought a lot more turnout. So it's probably was the highest for this sort of election since maybe the late 1990s, actually.
Right. Wow. Interesting. So early voting is a really popular mechanism that people use in Williamson County, correct?
Absolutely. In the last presidential election, out of the total number of ballots cast, about 70% were cast during the 15-day early voting period. Wow. So that makes it's hard on our office and our poll officials, but it makes it a lot smoother for Election Day just to have 30% of the voters casting ballots to go to our Election Day polling places. 4 years ago, we hit about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Election Day. It got unusually quiet, and that kind of worried me. But what I realized is that all of those that were going to vote on Election Day had already cast ballots earlier in the day. So the rest of the afternoon in the election 4 years ago on the presidential election day was pretty quiet, to be quite honest.
Right. So I would say, ask you your biggest challenge as election registrar. What is the biggest challenge?
Well, obviously, in a year like this, our challenge is managing voter turnout and voter registration. Back in 2017, in September, our state joined a number of states that do online voter registration. So when we get down to a voter registration deadline, we have to be very, very vigilant in managing that number of voter registrations that come in at the last moment. So managing that, managing our by-mail absentees for this upcoming election will be key to our success going forward. And of course, this may be, as we get closer, this may be the largest, we may have the largest number of early voting sites that we've ever had in the county for any election, just based on our anticipation around the projected turnout and that sort of thing.
And getting poll workers and poll officials is an important aspect of that for you as well, right?
Absolutely, and we had a large number of new poll officials that served last week in the election, and by and large, it went really well with our new poll officials, and we're very pleased at their rate of success with their responsibilities at the polling place, and we look forward to continuing to recruit poll officials every day until early October for the November 3rd election.
And so the last day to register to vote, if you're not registered to vote today, the last day to register to vote in the November election is which day?
It will be Monday, October the 5th.
Okay.
So you will need to mark your calendars for that. Monday, October the 5th, and early voting is October 14th through the 29th.
14th through the 29th. Okay, well, all right, we got one last question for you. What's your spirit animal?
Well, I got to think about this for a while. It's got to be the owl. I want all the wisdom I can as I go into the rest of this year.
That's a good one. That is great. That is great. Thank you so much, Chad. Thanks. And if people have a question or need to reach you, they can find your information on the Williamson County government, williamscounty-tn.gov site, as they can find the health department link there, as well as the election commission link there if you have any questions for them. So we appreciate all three of our panelists, and I think we've learned a little bit about some people to know this morning, haven't we? It's been kind of fun to have these people who are making news and being in the news right now as part of our Frank Talks. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be, somehow I'm muted, but we'll not be muted.
You're good.
Now I'm good. All right. We're so excited to be part of and be able to continue to hold Frank Talks using Zoom technology. Last couple weeks ago, we held Breakfast with the Mayors using streaming technology, and that was a little different, but we look forward to continuing being part of our community. Reminder, please look for information on how you can join us for the All America City presentation on August 19th and be part of cheering Franklin on. Right now, you can support us if you have social media. Be sure and look on our homepage, on our Facebook page, for how you can add the banner of Proud Franklinite to your website, but also can be sure and use the hashtags Franklinite and AAC 2020. We are in a social media contest, and we'd like to hear why you are a Franklinite. You can send us a video or post a photo, and that'll help us in our social media channels also, and give us information for that presentation. So thanks so much, and thanks to everybody on this morning, and I hope y'all have a great day. Stay safe, and don't forget to wear your mask. Have a great day.
Great job. Thanks, Mindy. Thanks, Carly.